into Seahawks today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and we are just hours away from the NFL trade deadline in the year 2025. I'm going to go through in today's video my perfect game plan for your Seattle Seahawks. What moves should they be making? What players should they be looking into? And personally, in my opinion, what are the two main position groups that you need to make trades for? Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because if you do not, you are going to miss out on a potential video if the Seahawks make a late trade as we get closer to the deadline, or my opinions on if they don't make a move at all. You don't want to miss any of this, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Plus, at the very end of the video, we're going to give you an Ernest Jones IV injury update that you just frankly do not want to miss. So Adam Schefter's been pretty clear, and so has a lot of the NFL insiders, on who's on the Seahawks trading block. Woolen, Boye, Mafe. Feels like they're trying to make a move, and it feels like the Seahawks are trying to get aggressive around the two of them, or at least Boye and Mafe at minimum, using them to parlay a move into another move, right? Maybe trade Boye and Mafe away, use that capital to then make a trade for a bigger player. Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee's show yesterday, and he was doing the whole windy fingers. Oh, Seattle's up to something. Don't be shocked if Seattle makes a move. Don't be shocked if Seattle does this. Don't be shocked if Seattle does that. And it seems to me that there's a clear messaging from your Seahawks that they want to be aggressive. They want to go and make a big move. Now, where is that big move going to come from? I think that if you watch this channel, you've heard me bang on the drum and stand up on the table and say you need better offensive line help. Anthony Bradford has been horrific at that right guard spot. Horrific might be a little bit too mean, but clearly he's your weak link. When you struggle running the football, it is usually around that offensive line, specifically that center and that right guard position, because they're just not winning one-on-one matchups right now. Or if they are, they're not winning them consistently enough. So can you make a move? Can you make a change there? Yes, 100%. I think that you can, and I think that you should. I have been basically ever since the PFF article and the video that I made last week, I've been dreaming of Peter Skoronski joining this team. I don't know that that's possible, right? As we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, it kind of feels like, while everyone's up for sale in Tennessee, I don't know that they want to pass on maybe the best guard that is within 3 years in the NFL. I think that Gray Zabel has an opportunity to pass Skoronski, but if Gray Zabel passes him, that means Skoronski's still number 2. Like, he's been here for multiple years now in the NFL, and he's proven that he is a true blue starter. He's a great player in the NFL. I don't know that they're willing to move on from him. So to me, that means then the ideal trade target for you would be Wyatt Teller. Joel Bitonio and Zeitler in Tennessee and in Cleveland, to me, they're just too old. When you look at the two Commanders guys that NFL insider Jordan Schultz said are available in Algretti and Kasemi, I don't want to make the trade for them. I just watched Washington's offensive line get absolutely worked by our defensive line, and I understand that our defensive line is elite. Don't care. I don't know that I want either one of them. Wyatt Teller's a really good offensive lineman, but of course there are two issues. The first main issue with him is, will the defense even accept him? Uchenna Nwosu obviously does not like him, clearly had some beef after that, not illegal, but definitely a move that a lot of professional football players are not going to enjoy, going on that cut block that ended up getting Nwosu hurt and injuring his knee. There would have to be some smoothing over there, right? There would have to be a conversation. There would have to be a kumbaya. I don't even know if the front office would make that move without the approval of the defense and Nwosu. The other big issue for him is he's in the final year of his contract. So is he going to stay in Seattle? Mike McDonald made it very clear that he is not going to trade away a player or trade for a player that isn't going to be here and help the Seahawks in the short term and the long term. Now, Teller, obviously still, middle-aged in the NFL, right around that 30-year-old mark, he could help the team for multiple years to come, but you would have to basically get the guarantee that he would re-sign. The other position that I find interesting is, if you're going to move on from Boye Mafe, you might go and sign a Bradley Chubb in Miami or a Kayvon Thibodeaux in New York. Those are two players that there have been links around them. I understand that there's a lot of scuttlebutt right now about Kayvon Thibodeaux not necessarily being available. Bradley Chubb, everyone's getting traded away in Miami. Phillips just got traded away to the Philadelphia Eagles. That doesn't necessarily mean that they want to move on from Chubb. So you'd have to give up a pretty decent amount of capital. That's where the trading away of Boye and Mafe could come in and lead you to parlay that into having a better trade package to get a Bradley Chubb or to get a Kayvon Thibodeaux. But again, I don't know if these are going to be available options. These are just clear targets. To me, if you make a trade for either an offensive lineman or that defensive line edge rusher, I think that is a victory. Now, offensive line-wise, you have two clear weak points. Can you improve upon them? That's why you'd make a trade there. Defensively, I wouldn't say that your defensive line has one weak point other than you don't have a true blue edge rusher. Your closest thing that you have to it is Uchenna Nwosu, and he's obviously been very good since he's returned from injury. Here's the problem. He's had a lot of injuries in his career, and the other one that I think is important to note here is as good as he is, if you could find like that elite true blue edge rusher, that guy that forces a double team, that teams focus in on every single week on having to stop him, it opens up everything else for everyone else. I think right now you're seeing Nwosu play at a very high level because of what the defense is around him. Leonard Williams keeps winning one-on-one matchups. Byron Murphy keeps winning one-on-one matchups. Jaron Reed's been fantastic. But I don't think that even Nwosu, who I believe is playing at his ceiling right now, I want it very clear. I think he's playing extremely, extremely well to the height of his ability. I think there are a few players that can go just a little bit higher. And I think we've seen Chubb do that in the past. And Kayvon Thibodeaux clearly has all the bones to be a true great elite pass rusher in the NFL. So as we keep moving forward through this, if you make a move for an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, I'm ecstatic. If you go trade for like a Minkah Fitzpatrick at that safety spot, if you go trade for a wide receiver, like 2, wide receiver 3, that's where you're going to see a lot of frustration from me, just because I don't think that you need any of those positions. Like, cool, you probably don't really need an edge rusher, but if you get an elite edge rusher that can get to the quarterback all by himself, it takes this really good defense, arguably on pace to be a historic defense, and puts them in the stratosphere of where we're talking like, hey, Steel Curtain. We're talking Legion of Boom. We're talking Purple People Eaters. We're talking all-time great grandparents tell your grandkids about these defenses if you go and get that edge rusher. So O-line, D-lineman trade, that's my plan. Go make a move for one of those guys. If you don't make a trade or you trade for a position like that cornerback spot, like safety, like wide receiver, I mean, shoot, even middle linebacker, I'm going to be pretty frustrated just because I don't think it's the most important spot to do it. Please make a prediction. Right now, obviously, we're in the morning of the NFL trade deadline. Will the Seahawks make a trade? I think they will. So I'd go down below and I'd say the Seahawks will make a trade by the trade deadline. True. If you don't think they will, type false and then let me know why you don't think they will make that plan. I also want you to go down below and let me know, do you like my trade deadline plan? Trade for an O-lineman, trade for a D-lineman. Yes if you like it, no if you don't. Before I get into the Ernest Jones IV update, I do want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you can cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones are overhyped. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So on his Monday morning press conference, head coach Mike Macdonald basically gave an update that there wasn't a ton of new information for Ernest Jones IV in his knee injury. What he did say is that this is not a season-ending injury. That is super important because that is the green dot. That is the captain of your defense making all the calls. You've seen Mike Macdonald's defense take a gigantic step forward and look more like his Baltimore Ravens defenses since Ernest Jones got traded to Seattle last year. I do think it's important to also note, we all saw him on the sidelines. Ernest Jones was jumping around, running around, excited for your Seattle Seahawks during the game. That tells me that maybe it's more of a bruise situation or a strain of whatever that knee injury is. Hopefully it's one of those, it's a bruise, you have him, miss a week or two, have him ready to go as you get closer to more of that playoff push. Obviously, you've got back-to-back NFC West games going here, and so Cardinals game, a little bit easier at home, but that game in, a week or two where you're taking on the LA Rams, that's going to be a big deal. Right now, a lot of people are saying the best two teams in the NFC, not just the NFC West, the NFC conference, are the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. I would agree with them, and you want Ernest Jones back and ready to go. All that being said, we've seen what happens when Devin Witherspoon rushes back and Julian Love rush back because they've been continuing to bounce up on that injury report. You finally got Witherspoon back for what seems like to be the rest of the year, but Julian Love obviously just went on IR, so you're not going to have him basically for the rest of this month. I think the best case of action here is, one, don't force Jones back early. He's got plenty of time. Get him ramped up, ready to go by December, and let's go out and kick some you-know-what as we try and push towards the playoffs. But the other thing that I think is important, he's not done for the year. If he was done for the year, this trade deadline would change up drastically because you'd be calling about middle linebackers. I like the way that Tyrese Knight played. I like the way that Drake Thomas played. Those are not starting linebackers on a Super Bowl winning team, right? And at this point, call a spade a spade. This team can win a Super Bowl. So it's good news that you're going to get Ernest Jones back relatively soon, hopefully within a couple of weeks. But the most important thing is that his season is not done. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll have a video out later on today if the Seahawks make a trade or if they don't make a trade that you are not going to want to miss. And of course, we always have breaking news coverage and just content surrounding your favorite Team 12. So don't miss out and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later on today.